Hi, my name's Cheese, and welcome to another Fossil Sweeper Progress Update video. If you haven't heard of the project before, you can find an overview here, but the TLDR is, it's like Minesweeper, but you're digging up fossils, and you get to build skeletons out of the stuff you find. For the past month or so, I've been continuing to work on museum music management, and I've also done a little bit of UI work as well. Peter has done another music track for the dig phase, and is starting to look towards final polish on some tracks. I'll let him tell you more.
Hi, it's been a while since I checked in to talk about the music, and since now I'm getting to the point where I'm nearly all done, I thought I'd talk about the latest piece, and where it's led my thinking about how to finish off the mixes. This latest piece was written with the image in mind of a kind of flat expanse, sparse of trees, and stretching off into the distance with few hills in sight. And my first thought was to try and make the listener a little lost too, and I do that by playing around with overlapping phrases of various lengths, and lines which are a little odd in meter, so that while there's a pulse, it keeps you on your toes a little bit as to where you are in the bar. As I continued working on it, I realised that while it was working well, something that had mildly bothered me about the mixes so far is that they didn't sound as natural as I'd like. This might be a grandiose way of putting it, but in many ways this is a game about nature and our connection with the world. And while I wanted the tracks to bring out the cerebral side of playing a Minesweeper style puzzle, I definitely wanted the sounds to be mostly rooted in the natural. So I did a pass on this track, which is quite subtle, but it's introducing a little more of a human element into the mix, just bringing in some timing and dynamic imprecisions, which I think really help to bring things more into the natural world. It's not quite as effective as having live performers would be, but I hope it gets us some of the way there, and I intend to do it with the other tracks as well. Compare this original section, for example, with this adjusted mix. And see if you can hear the difference in how the instruments blend and where things feel precise still, but less perfect in the second version. I hope you found that informative.
While revisiting some attempts at OGG parsing from one of my past prototypes, and looking at the engine source to see how things have changed between Godot 3 and Godot 4, I came across a GDScript implementation for loading OGG metadata by Andrew Wilkes, also known as GDScript Dude, which I've adapted for use in Fossil Sweeper. I'll leave a link in the description. Keeping in mind that the game supports loading custom music, I can't really make assumptions about how long track names will end up being. I made a composite widget that I'm calling a marquee label, which scrolls long strings, pausing briefly after looping, a behaviour that I liked from an old media player I used to use. I wrote a function that can generate a 3D collider for a given GUI widget, which then gets attached to the camera and prevents clicks from falling through to the floor and making the avatar wander around. I might change how this works in the future, but for now it's a quick and easy approach that makes the music HUD much nicer to use. I added buttons for clearing the filter text and refreshing the track list in the music track selector, just in case anybody adds anything to the custom music folder while the game is running. I also reworked the lighting control UI into a separate HUD and spotlight selector to match the music HUD, and refactored some more music related code to make my life easier in the future. A very big thank you to the supporters going by on screen at the moment. Their support has helped me eat while making this game, and I am so very appreciative. A huge thanks also to Screen Tasmania, who supported this project with a small grant. Anyway, that's about it for today. If you'd like to keep track of development, or try the playable prototype, you can find some links in the description. And if you're super keen to check out what we talked about here today, I make early test builds available to my supporters on Patreon. Thanks for watching, and goodbye!